Taking a moment to settle all the way through the body, finding that correct sitting position. Remember about the deeper pathways in your body that you are lining up so that they're able to suspend and support you. Letting everything go. In the very least, simply letting yourself be here without trying to be anyplace else at the same time. It's such a losing game. We try to be somebody else, be someplace else, some other time. We want to simply allow ourselves to rest, to be at rest, to be here. You've probably already noticed how exhausting it is to think and to strive and to need all the time, not to mention all of the physical tension in your nervous system spinning like a atomic powered top endlessly. One of the reasons people get a huge boost of energy when they start practicing Qigong is because they stop wasting so much by constantly trying to do and be something that they're not. More and more gentle, more and more easy. If conversely you find yourself becoming more and more tired as you relax, then probably you are exhausted and you've been propping yourself up with stress and tension for a very long time. And in that case, it is better to just let yourself feel tired and fall into sleep if you can, or to eat better, or to do whatever it is that is making you exhausted. I'll fly around here. if you find that the only way that you can function because of your fatigue is by making yourself feel angry or stressed or hyperactive or living on stimulants or pushing your body really hard, gripping your body really hard so all the chi comes to the surface, then you are on a treadmill, a cycle that will not end well. You have to let yourself be tired. You have to let yourself be sick. You have to have downtime. You have to make space for your actual weakness in order for it to heal. You can't pretend your way through weakness. You must heal. So let yourself fall into whatever it is that's actually happening right now. So I will take my headphones off as we move through this set on the head. And for those of you maybe who have not seen it yet, on the Patreon site, I posted a list of all of these movements, the 81 movements of this particular set, written them out and tried to make it as clear as possible with the particular acupoints that are being used so that you can look them up online if you'd like to learn more. And so feel free to go grab that if you're not quite sure of the series and if you ever practice this without video help. And if you, oh good, I'm glad it's helpful, Steph. And if you are somebody who is new and joining us, as it looks like there are some people in the background, I'm not sure who you are, and the data tells us that people all over the world are joining us for a short period of time and then going away. And I can't help but imagine that it's because people are confused about what we're doing. And so if that's you, please check down below the video. Look in the comments section for a link to a video that is a instruction series. It's a single video, and you can also use the very first video of this series as a way to learn about what we're doing and to get greater detail so that when you join us for these live sessions, you will know what we are doing. continuing to soften and release. I have a few different reasons for talking about fatigue today and letting yourself be tired, letting yourself feel sick. One, because a number of the people that are joining us are dealing with colds and flu. It's that time of year. And the great honor, I think, that should be shown to people who are listening to themselves and letting themselves be sick and taking the time to heal. It's sad that that's where we are in our community, but it is rare that people take the time to heal, to acknowledge their own illness, and to do what needs to be done, and to not pass it on to other people on top of it. And I feel like that's just part of what's happened within our culture. And so I want to acknowledge and honor those people that are willing to stop. So if you ever have a friend who just says, I'm just too tired, I'm going to stay home and sleep, or I'm just not feeling well, please do not badger them and say, just shake it off, get past it. And this is a thing that I've heard from so many people, especially in relationship to their families and how they were treated, and then they pass that on in their families. We want to stop that cycle. We want to honor people's vulnerability and their willingness to actually stop and do something about the experience of being human, and to heal and rebalance in the moment rather than waiting until things get bad. I think that's worthy of mention. Another reason I'm thinking about it is that because for myself, last night was a full moon here, and full moons always have a very strong impact on my physiology. And it was also a wild windstorm, and so I got very little sleep last night because of all the things. And the coyotes were making noise out here, and there was a cat fight, and it was just kind of a wild evening. And so I feel fatigued. And if I was sick, or if I was still somebody who dealt with a lot of deficiency in my body, which I spent most of my life doing, the best thing for me to do would be to cancel my plans for the day and to just stay home and rest and take care of myself that way. What I had spent most of my life doing was learning techniques that would, as we say in Qigong, it kind of like spins your energy up. There are these methods of forcing qi through your body to make you feel awake. And it's funny. It's actually happening right now out of habit. I didn't mean to do it. But it was a technique that I used so long that I depleted myself, desperately depleted myself, because I was already a depleted person growing up. I was born congenitally weaker than most kids. And I dealt with that by learning techniques to make myself feel stronger and to pretend that I wasn't sick. And there are certain Qigong techniques that some of the people in this gathering will know. They're called fire techniques, and they will make you feel a lot better. They force change in your body, but they do it at a cost. They draw upon your resources and pull chi to the surface and push it upward to brighten your eyes, to make you feel clear. I'm already feeling different than I was just 2 minutes ago. I wasn't going to use this technique, but I still have the old habit, so just talking about it was enough to trigger it. And it does use up some of the resources that I've been cultivating. But fortunately, I now have resources with which to choose to expend here and there if I want to. The problem is that most people that are tired, they're tired all the time, and they're tired because they don't eat well. because they don't sleep well, because they don't drink enough liquids, they hide from the sun, they don't move their bodies, they, certain very general lifestyle qualities that are solvable. Maybe they're just sick and they're not dealing with the illness. That's a huge number of people. And instead of dealing with those things, they go out and learn techniques to make themselves feel more energized. So I feel like it's worthy of mentioning that habit that I also took part in for a long time. It's very similar to people who live on coffee or other stimulants because they're too exhausted to live their lives and they can't let themselves rest long enough to accumulate energy and heal for lots of reasons, some of them good reasons. And so they become more and more depleted, but they don't let themselves feel that exhaustion. And so they go on with their lives. And that has become very normalized in our society, people that live on stimulants. And it's a very unhealthy way to live, obviously. And Qigong is the same. People can use Qigong often as a kind of crutch. And crutches can be useful to get you through difficult times, but you want to leave the crutch behind as soon as you can in order to heal. And so I purposefully left myself feeling tired so I could talk about it because I'm trying to demonstrate the process of healing as best I can and not pretend to be, whatever floating teacher on the mountain. But we want to demonstrate healing, what it looks like. And sometimes healing looks like being tired. Often healing looks like being sick or messy or crying because you're dealing with something difficult. And that vulnerability is a very important part of letting yourself heal. And I'd really like to support those people, again, who are willing to go there and express that quality in their lives. Another reason I wanted to talk about fatigue is because I was being asked about how to treat anxiety and stress and a nervous system being turned up to 11 and these kinds of the mental emotional disorders that come from this sort of deep exhaustion and agitation. And I think that what these people were asking about were techniques. Give me points to fix this. Give me a Qigong method to fix this. And very often, the cause of that agitation, as I was alluding to at the beginning of our practice, is actually due to a way for them to bolster their fatigue. We medicate ourselves with stress, and so we get adrenaline pumping because we're angry, or we're afraid, or we're anxious. That becomes the way our system learns how to feel alert, because otherwise we're dragging on the floor. And we don't know how to move our energy ourselves, so all we know is collapse or overwhelm. And oftentimes people don't like to feel collapsed, and so they trigger themselves into feeling overwhelmed. And so their system responds with fight or flight, and it makes them feel alive. And so people use all kinds of things, not just drugs, like caffeine and such, but we also use the news. People are addicted to the news. They wake up in the morning and they're exhausted. And so habitually, the first thing they do is turn on something that will put them into fight or flight. And now they feel awake. And then they go have their 13 cups of coffee. And that is a very common cycle that I see. And people feel that if they don't engage in that behavior, in whatever form it is, that their life becomes empty, bleak, because they're so exhausted. They fall into a hole that should allow them to rest, because they're not being called out into the world. Now they're being called back into themselves. But people are so uncomfortable with themselves that they they feel like it's just deep depression or something like that. And our culture, of course, is not a fan of supporting people during their healing. So this is another reason that I want to mention how wonderful it is when people let themselves be sick. How I want to model that it's okay to be tired, to not prop ourselves up. I'm not even drinking caffeinated tea. And we just let ourselves be in that space. And that's the healing space. That's when change happens. When you fall into this hole of stillness where now you're only with yourself. And of course, that's very uncomfortable for people that don't like themselves or are afraid of what they'll find. And so again, they go online or they watch the news or they talk to somebody they're angry with. They call their parents who will only make them upset. They pop a pill or drink the thing or over-exercise. That's another one. We go do all of these things hoping that it will make us feel better. Better being not with ourselves. Better being not feeling ourselves. And so I say all of this simply as a way to encourage and support people to settle into how they actually feel. It's part of what we're doing is noticing how we feel. Put your awareness in your body. Stop avoiding your own experience. Just be yourself. Just be here. Feel what you're feeling. Notice what you're noticing. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Don't run away from it. And I recognize that's a very big ask for people who are in pain. But that is the direction of healing. We are having another Daoist musical gathering immediately after this class. They're in there waiting for me. And so it's likely that I would have gone in there and spun my energy up anyway, because I have now built resources. I have enough savings in my account to occasionally draw upon it. I don't do it all the time. But I wanted to model just the okayness of being fatigued in public, no less. Saved forever on the internet. How dare you be human? Just be yourself. Have the courage to settle deeply into yourself, into your moment, filling your space. Have the strength to be vulnerable and present to what's actually happening. The act of seeing things as they really are is revolutionary. Continuing to allow your awareness to soak into your body. When your mind wanders away, remember the proper way to bring it back, not by forcing it back or clenching the mind further, but rather by softening the thing that's experiencing the tightness. Remember that the emotional sense of this experience is kind-hearted and friendly, non-judgmental, present, open, loving. And if you'd like, you can also create this movement. We showed this kind of movement before when we were talking about breast massage and breast health. Full circles, sinking down the outside. The emphasis is upon this opening and downward motion, down the ribs, down the outside, releasing the outside of the breast tissue all the way down. Be careful that you are not lifting your shoulders as you do this, pushing your shoulders or elbows forward, or pulling your elbows back. Instead, there's a lengthening through the shoulders and the arms. As my elbows and my hands lift, my shoulder blades sink, freeing my neck further, not the other way around. And then the opposite direction. Again, emphasizing this sinking down the front. Softening around the breast tissue up to the base of the collarbone. Only do as many as your shoulders allow without tension. If you start to feel yourself getting tired, of course, then just stop. Go on to the next one. Especially for those of you who are experiencing difficult moments during the menstrual cycle, that's a particularly useful one. But good for everybody. I don't always include it just because our time ends up being limited with all of these separate movements within this 90-minute window. So what do you do if your arm starts to feel tired? I've been trying to model this as well, especially when working on the upper body. We go like this, and we let our arms soften. And you notice, you pay attention to that experience. Can you feel the spot that was tired or getting tight slowly open? Maybe you feel a wash of circulation and chi down to the fingertips. How long does it take for that process to happen? Some days it will take a lot longer, and you'll have to move around to help it through. Other days you'll be soft, and just by letting your arm rest for a few seconds, there will be this wash of release into relief, and then suddenly you can go back. You want to pay attention to those changes as well, because that's also an indication about how open your body is becoming to this chi flow. Just as we were experiencing with the mind and the fingers yesterday. As you spiral in, allow your awareness to get more and more localized, slowly spiraling in until it settles in that space, in the very least below the palms. If you can, a bit deep to the navel. And then, if you're able to, a bit deeper than that. Remember, if any of these areas are especially problematic or difficult for you, then spend extra time here being especially gentle and present. If you're doing these practices and you feel like it says on the paper that you should be doing 100 repetitions of each movement, I don't know how many of you caught that. We end up not doing it here because it would just take too long for this class setup. And I think that most people's arms would become very tired. But traditionally, perhaps what you would do is gently release your back, scrubbing your back, for instance, this one. And then your arms might start to feel tired, so you stop. You wait for that wash of softness down the arms. And you do more, and then maybe you stop. And that takes a long time, but it's a wonderful way to warm and release the lower back. And so if you feel like taking the time to do that, it's highly recommended. Similarly, with these points down here, just above the glutes, or on the sides of the hips and the glutes, if you can take the time to do 100 repetitions of this softening and allowing your awareness to sink into the body, it can be very useful and helpful. Easing the points just above the knee. Stomach 34. And again, because it looks like there's an increase in the number of people in class, just allow me to mention that if this is your first time here and you're not quite sure what's happening, please look in the comment section down below for a link to an introductory video, and that will help you understand what in the heck we're doing. Spleen 10, liver 8, the inside above the knee. Warming and releasing. And again, if the knees are an especially difficult area for you, then it is worthwhile to take the time to just do one hand at a time, let your awareness soak in deeply, and be extra thorough. Spleen 9, gallbladder 34, the side of the leg here. And just warm, circling or moving gently up and down, whichever feels better for you. Stomach 36, either with your fingertips, your thumb, base of your thumb, the palms. For me, maybe the thumbs feel best today. Feeling that warmth soak into the joint, stimulating the points all around as you circle. Just as a reminder to release your breath if it's being held or obstructed. To release your posture if you're starting to collapse. Open yourself up. And again, even if you're feeling tired, find a way to be in an open, settled posture without trying to hold yourself up with tension. Find a different way. If you make space, the chi will come. ZhiCheng Shifu always says, nature loves a vacuum. Whenever there's an empty space, chi comes rushing in. So make space in your body by softening and opening, letting go. Don't hold yourself tight. Instead, soften through, find these spaces, and then breathe and rest and eat. And your body will fill those spaces that were otherwise normally obstructed with tension. I already feel completely better than when I started, both in the practice, but also that Qigong method. And those methods, and any internal alchemical methods, I know that people have been asking about those as well. Those are designed for after people have restored their health. They're not health practices. They're for people that have already done the work to restore their health, or for young people that didn't do anything to their health. So do what you can to become as healthy as you can in all the ways that you already know that you need. Fix your sleep, fix your eating, your drinking, fix socialization and posture, exercise levels, all the things that we know easily are good for us. We don't require a lot of thought for that. And then do it long enough for your system to restore itself. And that's when you start working on these other methods that take you past mere health. Softening and deepening, quieting your mind. If you're able to get to your feet comfortably, and you've been able to soften them somewhat over the last 50 plus days, and you can start to move your feet and open those spaces at the ends of the feet, near the toes, allowing your feet to soften and become more flexible, like your hands. Remember that you have to keep them warm in order for them to soften. So if you habitually let your feet get very cold, not only is it bad for your feet, but it is weakening for your kidney chi, your back, for all of these things. You stay warm. We have bamboo all around here in this spot, and it's fun to hear them knocking against each other like a big collection of wind chimes as it gets windy. The deer also love coming to this spot, hanging out with us. They're just outside very often. I don't know if they're there now. I saw them earlier. Remember to soften open your feet as best you can. I fully recommend getting good open shoes that don't do strange things to your feet, cause your toes to spread. Slowly returning your feet to something natural and healthy. Very worthwhile. Gentle, comfortable releasing. Flexing from the hip, softening open the lower back, extending through the spine to the top of the head as you release. Don't pull your head down or lift your chin up. Full circles. You can grip with your toes, move them in and out. Make use of your feet. Bring them to life. And again, if possible, keep them warm. I recognize that we're now toward the end of the winter time, beginning of spring. But a lot of people still live in cold spaces and maybe wear thin shoes. And so if I can convince people to just not let their feet become cold, other than momentarily, for the next year, and then see how much softer their feet become and how much more nourished their health overall is, because they're not constantly dumping qi into this process of just trying to keep their body warm. So please do keep your body warm as much as you can, and just make an effort to get shoes or socks or things that are required to keep your feet warm. That is my recommendation. I will take the headphones off for the tapping of the teeth. Remember that if your teeth feel sensitive or you have dental work that you wouldn't enjoy having your teeth knocked together, then just touch your teeth and squeeze your teeth. You want to make contact in as many places as you can. If you're somebody that has trouble connecting your teeth together, that actually can have a very strong impact upon the alignment of your neck and the position of your hips and the way your feet connect with the ground, because all of this is connected together, not just in Chinese medicine, but Western medicine is finally catching on too. And so if you find that you just have a difficult time connecting your teeth together, then it's probably worth seeing an orthodontist and getting that adjusted if you can. Because, for instance, being able to connect your molars in the back is a part physiologically of allowing your heels to connect strongly to the ground. And there's a whole science of talking about that. But that's a worthwhile thing to do. So it's part of what we're restoring is this mobility in the jaw, as well as waking the teeth up in ways that perhaps they're not often awoken. If you feel like laying flat for a few minutes, feel free to do so. Again, letting your awareness now soak into your whole body, noticing your whole body at once. Simply being at rest, present in your physical experience. At some point, if you like, you can find yourself back in a seated position. Soft and easy. Open and relax. Letting your awareness again accumulate in that space. In the middle, Dantian. And very slowly your awareness again spreads out from that point to fill your body. So you're aware of your body, but your mind and awareness is centered in the middle. And then letting that center expand to the space around you, so that you are living in your normal world, but with this slightly different relocation of where you feel your center is. It's a very useful transition. Staying grounded. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box there. I apologize for rushing out just a little bit early for the music gathering that's happening out there. Thank you for the hearts and for the likes, those of you who hit the like button. Still trying to let this channel spread so I can reach people with more free practice. Oh, thanks, Steph. It's really nice having you here. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. You are an inspiration. Mel also is an inspiration, which is why it's so nice to listen to her. And for those people listening who haven't yet listened to our new Turtle Talk podcast, you should go check it out. Go listen to the Mel's dulcet tones, like the clear bell of wisdom is my Mel. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I love you all. I'm really happy to have you join me. Moving forward, remember to let yourself be yourself. Just be where and what you are. Settle into your actual existence. And then see the magic that takes place.